There we are.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yasmin Taj, Managing Editor with People Matters, and welcome back to another exciting session of Top Jobs in India 2.0, brought to you by Indeed and People Matters. Today, all of us want to be a part of a company that is a great place to work. But what makes a company a great place to work? Is it a great culture, or exceptional rewards, or a workplace where fun and flexibility thrive? Flexibility today has become core to people's aspirations. And today we have one such company which aims to foster a vibrant community where people have the freedom to make an extraordinary impact on the world through technology. In fact, the company follows the view that as a thought worker, one is free to seek out the most ambitious challenges, free to change their career path, free to use technology as a tool for social change, free to be yourself. And today I have the pleasure of having with me Savita Hotrikar, Head of Talent Acquisition India for Thoughtworks. Savita is a seasoned recruitment professional with close to 20 years of work experience in managing and building winning teams. At Thoughtworks, she works as head of recruitment for the Indian arm of the company and handles the distributed team across 7 offices. Apart from meeting the regular demand requirements, her team works on specific recruitment goals to champion inclusivity and diversity within the workforce, including women in tech, women in leadership, LGBTQ, and more. I'm going to be asking Savita some really interesting questions to ensure that all our viewers who have joined us today understand ThoughtWorks a little better after this session. So, Savita, thank you so much for joining us and taking out time for this conversation today.
Yeah. Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. And good afternoon, everyone. Very excited and happy to be here talking to all of you. And hopefully, I'll be able to answer a few of your questions related to the jobs here and also about ThoughtWorks. Thank you, Yasmin, for inviting me.
Thank you. Looking forward to getting to know ThoughtWorks better today, Savita. And for all
Sure.
our viewers, if you want to know anything specific about ThoughtWorks, please post your questions in the comments section, which is on the right side of your screen. And if you're watching this episode through our Facebook or YouTube channels, please feel free to post your questions in the comments section. We will try and answer most of the questions that we have. So, guys, keep the questions flowing. And without further ado, let me begin the conversation from Savita. So, Savita, how do you foresee the overall job market in India shaping up in the next 6 to 9 months?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, owing to the pandemic in the last year, we did see a slump in the job market. And there were a lot of companies which unfortunately had to fold up, or there were a lot of retrenchment around. But I think the market has bounced back, especially in the IT sector. One of the fallouts of the pandemic was that there was a great emphasis that it came to the e-commerce industry and anything related to going digital, whether it was digital payments or whether it was e-commerce or anything related to online industry. There was a huge boost to it owing to the pandemic. And the moment things started improving on the pandemic front, I think the jobs are all back. So in the next, I think the job market has gone back to what it was, or even better than what it was earlier, at least in the IT and the ITES sector, because there's been a lot of transformation in the industry itself. And a lot of businesses who are not into hardcore technology business also saw the importance of having a digital transformation. So because of that, a lot of new jobs were created as well, and hence the domains like your AI, your ML, and data sciences, security saw a big boost in the last 6 months, and hence there are a lot of new jobs that have got created, and I see a very buoyant job market going forward as well. In the next 5 to 6 months. And some of the nice thing that has happened is, although the IT industry has seen a boost of jobs and things are getting back as it was before, or more than what it was before, the primary jobs have also helped in creating a lot of secondary and tertiary jobs. So overall, the job market, whether it is IT or ITES or nothing related to IT, has seen a big boost and a comeback. And I just feel very positive about it, at least for the next 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. I think last year there was this complete aura of insecurity and people were scared of
Yes.
losing jobs. There was so much retrenchment happening in organizations. There were pay cuts happening. And now suddenly, there's a complete overhaul and things are looking so positive. I think,
Yes.
as you said, digital transformation especially became a catalyst for this entire change because
Yeah,
it became so crucial.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
also the whole thing of the COVID vaccine coming up and all has made people more optimistic
Yeah.
that things will change and we will get back to our normal what it was earlier. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. And also, the pandemic brought back the focus a lot on D&I. So we've been
Yes.
talking a lot about DE and I. In fact, Savita, please share what ThoughtWorks has done differently for their employees in this aspect.
All right. So for us, DE&I is a big focus, along with focusing on technology and building a sustainable business, having commercial growth. The focus on diversity, inclusivity, and that other it is called as diversity, equity, and inclusivity, is very high. Thoughtworks has always been a pioneer in this, long before it became very common, to talk about DNI as it is now. And we have been doing a lot in this space. For example, the maternity leave, which is for 6 months, which has now become a government rule and everyone follows it, was long there in ThoughtWorks. Even 5 years ago, we brought that into practice. And then we have things like unlimited sick leave and a lot of policies and around it, that enables to have an inclusive culture. So DNI is something very dear to us, and some of the areas what we focus on are not just on gender, but also on inclusivity, and we work a lot in the space of for LGBTQ community as well. So within ThoughtWorks, we know we have one of these very programs which is very well known called for bringing women back to work. And we have this ambition of growing to 40% women and underrepresented minorities by 2022. So we have a very high challenge and high bar for ourselves in this space, and we're working towards making that happen. So wabsi is a award-winning program where we bring women back to technology, to work in the field of technology, and people who have taken a break for various reasons. We make them go through a boot camp and then give them internship and job opportunities in ThoughtWorks. And the idea of that is not just to hire people, but it's also to bring about the social change or the impact what it brings in. And so while we may not be able to employ everyone, there are a lot of people who use this to upskill themselves and find jobs elsewhere as well. So it has a high impact. So the impact what wabsi has is very high. Similarly, in the LGBTQ space as well, we work with an organization called Periphery, which works for trans people, and we have a mentorship program for them. We have got something called Interning with Pride, which is an internship program for young technologists from the LGBTQ space. And within ThoughtWorks, we have an affinity group called Mitra Collective, which focuses on helping the LGBTQ individuals within the company, and have dialogues relating to human rights, relating to sexuality and gender, for the community. And we are one of the few companies which also which also covers gender affirmation surgeries under our medical benefit what we have. Yeah. And I know some of these things have become very mainstream now and a lot of companies do it, but we started doing it long before it was mainstream. So yeah, so a lot of focus is there on building an equitable tech future. And no, we kind of have a very a culture of inclusivity in which makes everyone bring themselves to work, and we have a very safe space for all kinds of individuals with any kind of a different and diverse backgrounds to thrive within the company.
Oh, I think these are such beautiful initiatives you talked about, Savita. I think the focus and the kind of initiatives you launched, and you've done it as a front runner, as being one of
Yes.
the pioneers of bringing about these changes and these policies. I think that means a lot. I think I'm sure your employees will have a lot of testimonies to how they have experienced this while working at ThoughtWorks. So I
Absolutely.
think that's
Yes.
a great initiative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that,
Yeah.
Savita. Also, Savita, there have been a lot of talks about remote workforce now. We are moving into a hybrid workplace model, but some companies are also planning to stay, into the remote model. So, are you planning to open up some of your roles to a much wider remote workforce going forward?
We do have plans for that. So right now almost everybody is working from home, so that might continue for some more time, depending on how the situation evolves outside. But then we have 7 offices in India, and people are free to work from any of the offices. and we are exploring. We are hiring people from any part of the country now, and probably we are also going with the hybrid model of few people working remotely
Hmm.
and few people working from office, and that's something I think is going to work for us. And also work from home was very common for thought workers even much before this pandemic as well. People had the freedom of working from home if they wanted, and there were certain people who used to permanently work from home because of their situations in life. But otherwise it was pretty common for us to do, and we definitely will are exploring those options of remote
Okay.
workforce.
Okay.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, actually, that does open up the talent pool also for you,
That,
right?
yeah, that opens up the talent pool, and that also
Yeah.
opens up for us with the DEI initiatives what we have, and also we are looking to look for for people who have disabilities, any kind of physical disabilities as well, and women who cannot actually come to office every day to work, right? For people who have taken a break. I think the talent pool opens up, and we can hire more people from those areas as well. Hiring
Yeah.
will become much easier when you have a remote workforce.
Yeah, I think, and especially the
Yes,
initiative that you have, Wapasi, I think that'll work even better because a lot of more women can return to the workforce if they get an
yes.
option to work remotely,
To
right?
work from home. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Great, great. Thanks, and great. Thanks for sharing that, Savita. So, in terms of skill sets from candidates applying for the roles that you're talking about, what are your expectations in terms of skill sets? And maybe you can tell us a bit about the roles also that you're hiring for, and then tell us the kind of skill sets you require for them, Savita.
Yeah, yeah. So we have a very aggressive and ambitious hiring plan for this year. We are looking to hire over 1,300 people in India, and a small percentage of them are freshers from college and campus and off campus, and a lot of them are laterals. And we have requirements right ranging from 2+ years to 15 years to 20 years, and that includes all different kind of roles. Engineering roles, software developers, UI for front end developers, mobile developers, the infrastructure consultants or DevOps as it is called in the outside world, and a lot of people in data sciences like data engineers and data analysts and data scientists. Then we're looking for project managers, program managers, product managers as well, and senior technical architects, people who are experts or technical architects in their domain across various technology stacks is what we are looking at. And yes, and yeah, when it comes to actually looking at what skills are required, each of the skills or each of the roles have their own job descriptions, as you know, and there are the must-have skills and good-to-have skills as well. What is there for each of the role, and what we focus on in ThoughtWorks, other than just the skills part of it, is also the learnability and what the passion, what the person brings in. So hiring for potential, hiring how much the person is interested to learn and evolve, and and pick up new things plays a very important role in our interview process. We do not have like a long laundry list of skills which we tick off when we you know which we can tick when during the interview process and say, yeah, this person knows ABCD and we want to hire them. But we focus a lot on that, on the others as well. The
Yeah.
learnability plays a very important role. Skills over what technology, what and we don't pay that too much of attention to saying that you should have a fancy degree or you should have be a 10-pointer CGPA or a 9-pointer CGPA. For us, having the right skills, having the interest to learn, and the passion, and having that mindset of being inclusive, of openness, is also extremely important for us to succeed in ThoughtWorks, and we look for all this in a candidate.
Absolutely, I think yes. When we're speaking about skills, one is the functional must-have skills, but I think
Yeah.
behavioral skills that you spoke about have become very crucial these days. Yeah.
Yes,
So I think
absolutely.
yes, yeah. Learnability, as you said, one. I think I'm sure agility to adapt. Being how adaptive
Yes.
you are. I think these are some key skills.
Yeah.
Resilience that
So,
you can't really measure, but when you're talking to people and hiring them, you can kind of sense get a pulse of what kind of softer skills they
yeah.
can bring to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because technology is evolving on a daily basis, right? And things can get redundant very fast in today's world. So a
Yes.
person, if they're not adaptive and if they're not open to learn new things or unlearn, as you call it, then it's going to be very hard for them to succeed in their careers as well. So that those things are extremely important. Learnability factor is what we look for in
Yeah.
people a lot.
Yeah. Great. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Savita. So, how about a quick brief about the entire work-life culture at ThoughtWorks?
Okay, so Thoughtworks, as you know, is we are 8,000 people strong across all the regions. We have a presence in 48 offices and a presence in 17 different countries, and we have a legacy of about 25 years plus. And we have been helping clients solve all their complex business problems using technology. But one of the things that we also promote very strongly within ThoughtWorks is about the whole work culture. That's a differentiator for us, and also we ask, or rather, we have a culture where everybody can bring their whole selves to work. We ask people to bring their own their entire selves in their entirety, and not just a small part of them, to work. And hence, the work life culture becomes an integral part of your life within ThoughtWorks. So it's not very surprising to see that during the lunch and learn sessions, what we have related, or workshops what we conduct related to technology stacks, or related to and some subjects in technology. Along with it, we also have a lot of workshops that happen in photography and travel and writing and poetry and so on and so forth. So yeah, so a strong work-life culture is definitely there in ThoughtWorks, whether it's giving flexibility for people to work from home, or an extended, unlimited sick leave, or working partially from home. Although now it's become very commonplace. Even before the pandemic, people who had certain situations in life is to work from home. So what has to happen is that we want them to integrate their life and work very well.
Yes, I think I love the point on how you encourage your employees to bring their whole selves to work in their
Yes, yeah.
entirety. I think that
Correct.
makes the
That's
basic foundation of the culture.
Yes, yes. So we say that you're not just a software developer. You're also, maybe you're also a mother, you're a father, or you're a daughter, or or you're a poet, or you're a activist, you're whatever, right? You're so many things. You're a painter. So bring your whole self to work, because that will give a good dimension to a personal personality as well, and also help us build a very diverse culture within. And we want to have a very heterogeneous culture within. We don't want it to be homogeneous, but everybody is like everyone, and everyone is
Yes.
from the same background, from the same school, from the same college, and with the same, the kind of backgrounds as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about accepting and appreciating the differences.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. Diversity makes business sense. Yeah.
absolutely it does. So I think that's some great thought. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Savita. Moving on, the next question I have for you is: have there been any major changes in your interview and assessment process, given that everything is happening virtually now?
Yeah, yes, surely, yes, definitely. So earlier too, we used to do a lot of interviews online. Like I think, like most companies, right? We used to always have a combination of offline and online. But then the COVID situation has forced us to move everything online. And so during the COVID phase, when our hiring was kind of slowed down, or whether when we had a pause, what we did in ThoughtWorks was the recruitment team got together and came up with a playbook for how to do a remote interview, or how to do virtual interviews. And during this, we built the no, we mapped the journey of a candidate or recruiter and the interviewer in this entire selection process, or the interview process. And after mapping it, we came up with the guidelines of how we are going to be doing, what are the technologies required to make it happen, how do you educate the candidate, how do you educate the interviewer, and how should the recruiter adapt themselves to the new this kind of working, because recruiters and everyone are so interested to meet your candidate when you want to hire somebody, right? Now you're not meeting them, but how do you build that rapport then, and how do you get to know your candidate better, and also get the interviewers also comfortable with doing and selecting people online. And there are a lot of biases that also come in when you don't meet a person, right? You're just seeing them through a small window in your laptop. And a lot of time, videos get turned off because of the bandwidth issues, and you don't even get to see the face of the person who you're talking to. And then that leads to a lot of biases. So how, and one of the ways where you can, eliminate those biases is to have a very objective approach to your interview and selection process. And so, because all our roles have got their own competencies that are defined, and what we call as attributes in Thoughtworks, and we use this attribute based system for evaluating candidates, so that it is more scientific and more objective, and less dependent on what you're thinking and feeling by looking at the person or not looking at the person in this case. So yes, we have come up with the entire playbook, and we did a whole lot of education and training around that. We have also, have FAQs for our candidates so that they get comfortable. That was in the
Mm.
beginning. I think in the last 6 months, things have changed, and most companies have moved towards virtual interviewing, and candidates also have adapted themselves to this way of working.
Yeah, I think yes, it's interesting as to how you let go of your biases and make it the process very fair, even if there's
Yes,
no physical interaction happening between you and the
yes,
candidate.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. That's very important, right? Yeah,
yeah, totally agree with you. I think so. That's the kind of change that has come. I think most organizations try to bring that change up. It
yeah,
just cannot be the same as it used to be. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing
yeah,
that, Savita. So,
yeah.
what would be a few tips from you for candidates so that they can stand out in a virtual interview, according to you, Savita?
Okay. So one thing what candidates need to remember is an interview, whether it's on Zoom or whether it is in person, and that has to be taken seriously, because both you and the company are, they're investing time to get to know each other, and that is important. And there's a small amount of casualness that creeps in when you are working remote, and I think that has to be people have to be careful about it. So a few of the important, very basic things are to have a very good internet and connectivity. Make sure that you have power backup, or your systems are all powered up, because in India, people now are working from any part of the country, and internet connectivity and power outages are very common, and that's something what is beyond our control. But then, how do you have a backup? How do you, have a plan B if something happens is important. Then finding a quiet corner in the house, because in Indian households, there's always this ambient noise, either within the household or the sound from the street that comes in. And these are things that can be avoided, as our environment is like that. So then how do you find a quiet corner in the place and where you can put your thoughts together when you're answering the questions? And a lot of preparation that is required, like talk to the recruiter, find out what is important. Because unlike in a face-to-face interview, sometimes interviews would go over time. Like for example, a half an hour interview can go up to 45 minutes to 1 hour. If you want to talk more, you had the time to express yourself or to present yourself. But in a interview online on Zoom or Microsoft meetings, what happens is going beyond 1 hour or 2 hours becomes very difficult, because there is something like Zoom fatigue is real, according to me. So you just lose the focus after some time, right? It can't go on forever. So you have only limited time to showcase yourself and present yourself. So prepare yourself. Preparing for interview is extremely important. Talk to the recruiter on what the interview is going to be about, what is going to get covered in that, and who's going to talk to you. Ask those questions, and be prepared for the interview, and be mindful of your body language, the words what you use, and the language, and the how you dress up. Although it may not be most important, but yeah, but be presentable in interviews, if not anything.
Great. I think those are some really important points of how you have to prepare for an interview, how you have to
Yes.
take care of your surroundings, how do you take care of the way you also present yourself. I think very important. Yeah. I think the
Yeah,
impact,
absolutely.
yeah, I think you're being watched even more closely when you're doing it virtually.
Yeah,
So people,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And the time is very less, right? You need to
Yeah.
give yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, is that one chance or no? Yeah, so that's the thing. Thanks, Savita. Thank you so much for that. And can you tell us about any upskilling and training programs that you want to call out for our viewers here today?
Yes, there are plenty of them with because of the fallout of the COVID and the pandemic situation is that online learning has become very rampant and yeah, and then you have a lot of courses online. For example, Udemy is having a lot of interesting courses related to all areas of technology. Then people can go and upskill themselves and learn in those areas. Like I said, then there are a lot of jobs in the e-commerce domain, in the area of in the area of AI, ML, data sciences, and these are all the hot technologies right now. And then there is security as well, which is very important. Internet security has become infosec, as they call, is become very important now, and so is infrastructure consulting, that is DevOps as it was earlier known as. Those are all the areas that are having a lot of jobs, and upskilling and keeping yourself up to date on all these technologies or learning new things is extremely important. And then the avenues to learn have become a lot. There are a lot of classes which that are free online as well on YouTube. YouTube is a great platform to learn, and so is are all these different online classes. Yeah,
Great, thanks. Thanks for sharing that. So I have a question which is a little related to this that one of our audience members has asked, Savita. So
sure.
yeah, it's about what, according to you, are some jobs that are in high demand after the pandemic, and specific areas in the ITS industry that you see high growth in and high demand for a skilled workforce.
Yeah, I do see a lot of demand for in DevOps or infrastructure consulting, or infrastructure consultants. That is one area because everything is going online, and hence this becomes very important. Site reliability engineers, people who work in infrastructure, setting up the infrastructure or maintaining that. Then of course, and of course, anything related to internet security. The security domain is another big place which has a lot of interesting jobs now, because that has that with all of us being online, the hacking has become extremely, keeping yourself safe from hacking has become extremely important. And so those, whether you're working in a banking industry or in a e-commerce or an online industry, that is another important area. Then front end developers, UI developers, and everything is on mobile. So of course, mobile developers. So those
Yes,
are all the areas which is that has become very popular right now,
yes, and I think
or
yes,
has
as
a
you just yeah.
full stack development as they call it. Yeah, yeah.
Great, great. Yeah, and I think the upskilling programs and how people should upskill themselves, I think works very well in these specific streams that you spoke about. And people who want to, I think, get into a career path like this, they need to get
Yes,
into the right learning models also that way.
right, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, great. Thank you so much for sharing that. There's another audience question before I come to the last question for you. There's another question, very interesting, on how does ThoughtWorks measure employee success?
Okay, so that's a nice question. For us, all our employees are stars. That's what we believe in, and we definitely think that having a good work culture and having a level playing field for everyone helps in employees succeeding. How do we measure it? Yes, we have, at the beginning of the year, we do set up goals for everyone, and also give them the necessary support that is required to meet the goals. And at the end of the year, when we evaluate the performance, we look at what they have done. So when we say employees succeeding, we don't look only at how well they have done in their current projects or what they have done or what they have learned, but also what they have contributed to the growth of ThoughtWorks. And the contribution to the growth of ThoughtWorks can be in many forms. It can be you're contributing in recruiting and bringing good talent. It can be in helping in the DE&I space. It can be in form of conducting workshops and technology learning sessions for people within ThoughtWorks or within and outside of ThoughtWorks. We believe in building a community of passionate technologists inside and outside of ThoughtWorks. So we do a lot of technical events focused on learning, just on learning, for external audience as well. And these are calendarized events that happen every month in every office of ThoughtWorks. And now, of course, we do it online. Very popular one is called the Geek Night, what we do on a monthly basis, where we talk about a certain topic or technology for about a couple of hours. It generally happens on the last Thursday of every month, or the first or the last Thursday of every month. And now we do it online. And this is just for taking what we know to the outside world. So when we say success, we also want to see how the person has contributed in all these areas. It is not just about contributing to your own project. It's about contributing, see, in Thoughtworks, we believe that the organization is bigger than you. So you need to, and then put yourself, the organization first, and then yourself. So how do you contribute to the growth of the organization and to the growth of the community? How do you learn?
Yes.
How do you care? How do you help in building a culture? That's all very important when we say, when we look at measure the success of an employee within ThoughtWorks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, I think, yeah. How do you contribute to the overall growth of the organization while you contribute to the growth of your own individual self? I think, yes,
yeah,
that combination is very important. Great. Thanks,
yeah.
Savita, for answering that. I have one or two more questions coming in. So you did tell a bit about that you're hiring from the level of a fresher to the level of 20 plus experience as well. So any hiring plans that you can talk about for freshers in 2021?
Yeah, we are hiring a large number of freshers and through campus and off campus. We are also not only from engineering schools but also from B schools. We are hiring business analysts and program managers and project managers from B schools and product managers as well. And we do a lot of off campus hiring. So folks who have completed their course and or their college in 2020 as well are people who we look at for the off-campus, in the off-campus domain. And we are also looking for freshers, meaning people with 1 to 2 years experience. Who have, especially if you have done your MTech or if you've done your MCA and you have just about a year's experience, then please feel free to apply to us because we are hiring them in larger numbers. And we also have a high degree of emphasis on hiring women as well, and others. Yeah,
Yeah. So you did mention about women, and there's a question again. You did speak about the WAPSI program. So there's a
yeah,
question maybe that the audience member missed out at that point on. Do you have any program that supports a
right.
comeback for women post a sabbatical? So if you
Yeah,
want to add something to that, yeah.
yes. So WAPSI is a comeback program, what we have for women, bring her back to work program. And we conduct WAPSIs right now in two areas. One is for developers and one is for test engineers or QA analysts, as we call them. These are the two areas. So if you are a woman who have taken a break, who are a software developer and taken a break and want to come back, please do apply to us. We have a WAPSI landing page on our career portal and we open it up for registrations. And when we open it up and we promote it very strongly and heavily in all our social media channels, whether it's on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram, and on a career portal, of course. So please feel free. And we put a calendar also of the events. So please feel free to apply to it. And we do a very basic test to just to check how much of fundamentals they know because we're bringing women back into technology jobs. So that is our focus. We are not bringing women to any job within ThoughtWorks, but we want to bring women back in tech. So that is our goal. And so please feel free to apply, and then we make them go through a test, a very
Yeah.
lightweight test to see their fundamentals and the interest to learn again. That's very important for us. And then make them go through the boot camp of 6 weeks. And after they go to the boot camp, we pick the ones who have potential and
Yeah.
give them an internship, a paid internship between 1 to 3 months. And most of the time, most of our interns end up getting converted to full time at the end of the internship period. And we do
That's
it
interesting.
regularly. Yeah. And right now, we're doing it online. Yes.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. Another interesting question is that we have a lot of HR professionals in our audience today as well. For them, can you talk about how has the role of TA changed during the pandemic? Any new skills that TA professionals should, learn?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it has impacted the TA professional the most after the developers because unless the TA professionals learn and adapt themselves to this so-called new normal, it is going to be hard for them to find the top talent for their companies wherever they're working, right? So yes, life has changed a lot, and then working, I think, adapting ourselves to hiring online, that is the most important change what you have to adapt to. And also make sure that that your the organization where you're working also adapts to using online tests and assessments, because that helps a lot in filtering your candidates, and bringing in the right set of people in the inside for the interviews. Because one of the things, like I said, right, when you do things online, there's only a finite number of interviews you can do, and the cycle time for interviews increases. Because earlier, when you do a weekend drive, you could bring everyone into office and finish all the interviews in one day. But now it
Yeah.
is very difficult to do that, because it's very taxing and difficult, and there's a lot of fatigue for both the candidates and the interviewers. So the cycle time increases. So you make use of technology, whether it's tools, assessments, or different types of whiteboarding tools that are available in the market, and learn how to use them. Learn how to use, especially if you're using Zoom for interviews, it has great options of using something called breakout rooms, where you can put
Yeah.
candidates and replicate the exact process what you do in your office. Like, you can create 4 breakout rooms and keep the candidate in one room and interview in the other room, and move the people between rooms, just like how you do in your in a real life interview. So keeping yourself updated on all this technology is extremely
Yeah.
important for HR professionals, for TA professionals, I should say. Yes, the life has definitely changed. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, I think very interesting tips. Thanks, Avita. I think yes, when you are moving into a completely tech-enabled world, how do you make those unique permutations, combinations of doing interviews and
yeah,
engaging with candidates
yeah.
while they're there? Yeah, so I
Engaging
think
with
that
them. Yeah.
yeah, it makes
Yeah,
a lot of
and
difference. Yeah,
communication.
yes,
Communicating with candidates is very, very important. Keeping a close
yeah.
touch, because you're not meeting them in person.
Yeah, yeah. Great. Thanks, Savita. And now finally time for our final question for you, Savita. If you had to
Yes.
call out three things on why a candidate should join ThoughtWorks, what would those be?
Yeah. So if you come into any of our offices in ThoughtWorks, there is this, uh, outside we have this something called ThoughtWorks is an experience. So ThoughtWorks is like an experience. It's a domain. It's an emotion. It is not a place where you just come to work. So it is much beyond just coming in to have a great career or learn about the more about the latest technologies. It is much more than that, because of the unique culture what we have, and a diversity what we have in inside ThoughtWorks, and the promote, the way we promote all the work life balance. When you come into ThoughtWorks, you not only get to work on the most cutting edge technologies and help clients solve complex problems using technology, but you also get to work with a very diverse set of passionate people. And you not only become a great technologist, but you'll also become a better human being if you get into ThoughtWorks. And that's primarily why you need to come and join us. It is just not for your career or money or learning more technology, but it's also for various other factors that make you into a better human being. And I can say that with confidence, because I just finished 6 years at ThoughtWorks, and and I can't believe how they were, years flew by. And when I look back at what I was 6 years ago to now, I think I'm a much more enlightened person.
Lovely, lovely. That's wonderful. I think I really, what caught on to me were the words experience and becoming better
Yes.
human. ThoughtWorks is an experience. That's very beautifully put, I must say, Savita. So you don't
Thank
consider this an organization, it's experience, and people become better humans by coming here. So I think that's actually, the best
you.
employer
Yes.
branding line that I can put forward to our audience here, that is why you should join ThoughtWorks. So thank you for sharing
Absolutely.
that. I have one additional question that just popped up, and I thought I might just ask you, Savita. Can you share some pointers on ThoughtWorks interview process and levels involved? So this may be helpful for the people
Okay.
who should be applying. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. So in ThoughtWorks, the entire selection process, right? We call it a program called Joy of Interviewing, because we want interviewing to be a joyous process, both for the candidate and for the person who's doing the interview. Every time we say interview, people get stressed out, right? We don't want that to happen. We want people who are coming in to invest their time, to feel valued and respected, and and have a good experience, irrespective of the outcome of the interview, whether you get through, do not get through, or whether you choose to get an offer from us and not join us. Anything can happen, but we want you to go out feeling valued and respected for your time and what you have invested with us. So every role in ThoughtWorks any role that comes up in ThoughtWorks has the competencies defined, or the skills that is required, or attributes as we call it, defined for it. So without having the skills defined, we do not do any interviews, we don't start any process. So everyone is very objective about what has to be looked at and what skills have to be measured and what you need to do in every interview. So the interviewers are completely aware of that. So different interviews have, so we have a broad framework, I should say. So different roles have different types of interview. For example, for developer roles, we usually do an assessment or a code pairing, as we call it, where there is a problem statement sent to the candidate to familiarize themselves with it beforehand itself, and then they work with the interviewer online. We call it as code pairing, and work on the extension of the problem. Then we make them go through a couple of technical round of interviews, followed by a leadership and a culture round. Sometimes we try and do the culture and leadership round together itself. So we have a maximum of 4 to 5 rounds of interview, and that's the framework what we have for our Joy of Interviewing program. That we do not want to elongate and make it a multi-level a process, and make it like like a video game where you keep going from one level to another, but rather have a more a more scientific approach to it. So we have a 5-step interview process for most of our roles, unless there are some leadership roles and there are some other more people have to talk to you. So
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Great.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So the last thing what I want to call it is show us what you know is the basic baseline, tagline for us. So we believe in, that's why we do code pairing. We ask people to do a coding round. For business analysts and project managers, we give a case study and ask them to come, and we talk about the case study when they come in. So we're very interested to know what you know, rather than what you don't know. Yeah.
Great. And I think I like that point. Yes, yes. Show us what you know. Very, very important. And joy of interviewing, so that it's a comfortable and pleasant experience, I think, for everyone. The person who's applying and the person who's interviewing also. So
Absolutely.
great.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much on that note, Savita. That was all time we had for this interaction. It was beautiful
Sure.
and wonderful listening to thoughts about ThoughtWorks and your insights on the industry and the job market overall. I think ThoughtWorks, as you said, is an experience, and I'm sure that our audience listening in and watching us today would love to experience this and apply to some roles at ThoughtWorks. So thank you for your
Yes.
time.
Yes. Thank you so much Yasmin, for inviting me. It was great talking and wonderful questions. People, I really like them. If you want to know
Yes,
more about ThoughtWorks, please feel free to ping us on any of our social handles. And all our jobs are up on the career portal. Please do apply to us. We would love to talk to you. Yeah.
absolutely great. Thank you. Thank you so much once again, Savita. Thank you for your
Thank you
time.
so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. So that's all for now, everyone. We'll be live again soon with another great place to work for. So please don't forget to tune in and see you shortly. Thank you for your time, everyone. Take care and stay safe. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.